Hey guys, I just wanted to make a video. We have one more undefeated team left in the league, and it's been that way now for what, 4 weeks, 3 weeks? And that's the Philadelphia Eagles. If you look at all the power rankings, they're at number one, and they do a lot of things really, really well. I know a lot of people point to that secondary and how well they're playing, and people point to Jalen Hurts and how well he's playing. And A.J. Brown is the most dominant receiver in the league right now. But honestly, their present success and how far they can go will be due to one area of the team that honestly isn't getting enough credit, and that's the offensive line. See, often when you see teams like the Eagles, that right now their offense is not gimmicky, but it is very reliant on the RPO, slants to A.J. Brown, go route. There's not a whole lot of complexity to it. And you got Miles Sanders running the ball as well. And he's doing well. But even after the Robert Quinn trade, they're lacking in pass rush. And also, I don't know how sustainable their offense is. You see every week, they don't do anything in the second half. Now, I'm not sure if that's because of adjustments or game plan. In my opinion, I would say it's adjustments by the defense, because I feel like if this was after it being so consistent throughout the season, the Eagles would kind of get tired of it, the narrative, and try at least one game to do better in the second half and be more aggressive. I could be wrong with that. That could just be their philosophy and motto, and that's how they want to do things. That's fine with me. You pass to score and you run to win. But we see teams like this a lot of times where they do have a good defense, they have an okay running game, and they have this quarterback who is looking well right now, looking good with the receivers that he has, looking excellent. But often, like the Cardinals 2 years ago, it flamed out. They were, I believe, 6-0, something like that, and then they finally lost. And they had a solid defense. They had Kyler Murray ascending. They had great receivers. DeAndre Hopkins was like the best in the league that year. And they flamed out. Now, for them, their offense got figured out. Cliff Kingsbury's offense got figured out, and the second half of the season was a different story, and their offensive line was terrible. When you watch the Eagles, the only way that I think they're in trouble is if they play a team this is going to be very basic. Everyone's saying it, but the Bills, I believe, are the perfect storm, because you have a team that can throw the ball, move the ball on you offensively, and has that pass rush. You need a physical defense to go up against that offense. Someone to match the physicality of the receivers. Bills are the best matchup for them. But that offensive line, I don't think you understand how much that opens things up. Because they can run the ball pretty much whenever they want, it's less pressure on Jalen Hurts. In games where it came down to it and Jalen Hurts needed to make a play passing the ball, because they haven't really had any much close games, but against the Cardinals, it was kind of close and might have been Jalen Hurts' worst game of the year, and it wasn't bad. You just see flaws there. Now, I do think the RPO and go routes aren't sustainable long-term, and maybe that's something to add on to next year. But this year, it's working so well because of how good that offensive line is. In pass protection, you have two good bookend tackles, and you have the best center in the league in Jason Kelce. And for pass protection, Jalen Hurts has all the time in the world to get the ball out. It makes it easier for him. He has two stud receivers and all the time in the world to find him. And if you go look at the run, I mean, they can run whenever they want with that offensive line. If they can just imagine, like, if they had a subpar offensive line, I think they would have lost at least 2 or 3 games, in my opinion. But that it sets it so far apart. And I don't know if we'll see. I can't wait till they get into a close game at the end, because I think that's where they would struggle because of the lack of pass rush from their defensive line. They traded for Robert Quinn, and Brandon Graham is a solid pass rusher, defensive end, but he's old and he doesn't have the same juice he used to. Same with Fletcher Cox. They have an incredible secondary, which helps, but I think a team that can throw the deep ball. They have safeties. They have Epps and Gardner Johnson playing at safety, and they have been playing phenomenal this year. But I don't really think they've truly been tested by a team with a good offensive line and quarterback and receiver that can throw the deep ball on them. It's almost like the perfect storm right now, because if you look around the league, what am I trying to say? The title, the story this year, I mean, I think Chris Collinsworth said it week 2, and it's been true since, is the soft shell coverage that's been going around league-wide, where everyone is playing like 2 deep safeties, not allowing the big play, making teams work for it. And if you watch the Eagles, he just had 3 touchdowns to A.J. Brown this week on some deep balls. Not super deep, but honestly, besides that, the Eagles don't go deep that much. And it's a perfect match for what they want to do, because they can run the ball with that stellar offensive line on this soft shell coverage, and then they can throw their slants and intermediate routes to a guy who was built for them in A.J. Brown. And if they need to, they have the speedsters in Devontae Smith and is it Watkins? They have the other speed guy. And I think it's just the perfect fitting right now. The Eagles' offense is built for what defenses are playing right now. I am excited. I don't know if we'll see. I'm excited to see how this holds up in the playoffs, because I think it's completely different there. Teams are going to lock down. In the NFC, I don't know if there's a team that I can really see doing anything there. I think San Francisco is interesting. If the Rams had a pass rusher and left tackle, I think that would be very interesting and have a chance to upset. If the Buccaneers were healthy, I think their season's done now. But if they were healthy, that would be one that I think could possibly upset the Eagles. I think the Cowboys with Dak Prescott can. The only problem with them is still don't believe that they have enough receiver help. CeeDee Lamb is good, but he's not a deep ball guy. If they get James Washington back in time, that might change a few things. But I don't know if there's any team that can really test them. They already played the Vikings. And I just don't know if the Vikings... I don't think their corners are physical enough to keep up with the Eagles. It's tough trying to find a team that can match up with the Eagles. It's not easy. I think that there's very few. I think the Cowboys have a chance. I think the 49ers have a chance. It's a matter of who meets who in the playoffs. It's completely different. But if they stay true to running the football, and if Robert Quinn comes on, Eagles are really dangerous. They can really have a shot. But I think overall, the reason why the Eagles are successful this year is the matchup with how they play offense versus how teams are now playing defense. It's like the rest of the league is zigging while the Eagles are zagging. And their offensive line is the reason why their zagging is so successful. Another team that I think is showing this is the Falcons. If you look at the Falcons, you're like, how are they doing so well against these teams with Marcus Mariota at quarterback? They don't run the ball. They don't pass the ball. They run it. Even without Cordero Patterson, they run it because their offensive line has been playing out of this world this year. And in a league where everyone's passing the ball, everyone's wanting the big play, the Falcons are like, fine, we'll take it down the field little by little. Same with the Eagles. We'll take those slants, we'll take those intermediate routes, and just get the ball down there and then run it down your throats with our offensive line. So that's why I think the Eagles have been so successful this year. I think it is sustainable until playoffs. Does that mean I think they'll win every game to the playoffs? No, I don't think they will. It hardly ever happens. But I think when it gets to playoff times, it will be very interesting to see who they match up with. And I think it's possible for a first-round upset depending on who they play. But overall, the Eagles are looking like a good team. If I had to pick them against one of the two AFC favorites, I could see them beating the Chiefs. I think the Bills just are built to beat the Eagles, if that makes sense. But that's all I got, guys. Eagles right now undefeated, and let's hope they keep it up. Talk to you guys later.